I usually agree with how is everyone doing, but we all know how we're doing, and that's why we're here, right? You know, a couple weeks ago, we got dealt a really huge blow by the Supreme Court. And some people would say, oh my goodness, this is the first time ever. Now is the time to fight. But we've been fighting, y'all. And I have to be 100% honest. I initially almost wasn't here today. To be quite honest, I've been fighting for most of my adult life. I've been registered a Democrat since I was able to register to vote. You know, and I've been fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and feeling like I'm screaming into the wind. And I'm sure that a lot of you here feel exactly the same way. You know, but a lot of us also feel like this protest is to show them how we feel, and it's not. It's really not. I want everyone in this audience to take a look around you right now. Now more than ever, we need each other. Now more than ever, we need to know that there's a community of people behind us that are there to fight beside us, okay? And it's not gonna be easy, it's not gonna be light work, it's not gonna be this protest today and then the end of the story, guys. The work is just starting today. And if we thought we were having it hard before, y'all, we are in for a fight in front of us. So this is a song I wrote back in 2016 to make myself feel better about the state of the world. And even though these lyrics were written at a time that we had a few more rights than we do now, I still feel optimistically, believe it or not, that we'll find our way back to normalcy, back to equality, back to real rights for every person. Mama said there'd be days like this, days when the sky is falling, when you ball your hands into fists, just to keep you from crawling. Don't close your eyes to keep you from seeing the truth, yeah. Those cloudy skies will always come back, come right back.
Look a whole nother way.
Am I getting through to you? Through to you? Or ain't I? Am I getting through to you? Through to you? Or ain't I? Heard a man say that it can be so hard to breathe when the world is keeping you down. So stay strong. We gotta hold on. Remember to always stand your ground. Don't close your eyes to keep you from seeing the truth. Yeah.
services to us today. Appreciate you tremendously. And Sarah from SRS Photography taking pictures today along with another photographer, Christina Smith. We are going to try to stay as close to Run On Show as possible. I'm introducing Yvonne Clayton, one of the organizers of this event.
Good afternoon. I am so pleased to introduce this brilliant woman. And why? First of all, because she's an alumnus of Asbury Park High School. She has a master's from New York University and a law degree from Seton Hall University Law School. She has been a public school teacher, a public defender, and was appointed a Superior Court judge in Essex County. She is considered an expert on constitutional and criminal law. She has talked extensively about Roe v. Wade, and she is an advocate for women's productive rights, and she's also a mom. Please join me in welcoming Judge Yvonne Clayton.
Can you just raise your hand for me? So if you came through a vagina, then everybody here, this means something to you. Now maybe I'm just crazy, but I do believe that there was this person that said that I could grab your because I have the power to do so. The Supreme Court just said they have the power to grab your because they have the power to do so. So I know, some of you, if you're grasping your pearls right now, I'm sorry, but I gotta bring truth to power. I have sat on the bench and watched inequality, the just deficit of how people are treated. I'm telling you, as a black woman, a mother of a black woman, a daughter of a black woman, and on the bench where there are mostly men. This is a misogynistic move on the greatest power. We have to stand together as one. We are not black or white or gay or straight or Muslim or Hindu or Buddhist. Right now, if you came out of vagina, we are one. I want each and every one of you to know the most important thing that we have right now is to push for more on the Supreme Court. What the president is trying to do in these little amendments, they cannot be ratified without the Senate. And with that one head that we have in the Senate right now is not going to be enough. We need to increase the number of people on our Senate and on our Supreme Court, and nothing in the Constitution says that we have to have any number. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stay to my 5 minutes as I have been instructed, and this is power for the punani, let me put it that way.
Everybody, how you doing? Let's give a huge round of applause. That was amazing. Incredible. A few years ago, 2017, I witnessed the Asbury Park Women's March, and it completely changed my life. I saw that local people could actually do things and get involved, and I decided I would. That's very much the case with the next person I'm going to introduce. She's a high school student who wanted to do a march in town about this issue. And we decided to join forces for this rally. And I think it's incredible, and she is the future. So I'd like to introduce Nevaeh Sickles.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming out tonight, and thank you so much, Mrs. Sekou. Our second speaker this afternoon founded the Trans Alliance, as well as them working with an LGBTQ+ educator and activist. Please welcome to the stage, Celeste Fiore.
Hi,
good morning, good afternoon. And you know, it's funny, they never put two lawyers right next to each other because in a set, because normally we bore the daylights out of you. And I'm used to like listening to judges talk, and I can tell you that that is not a view that you are gonna get when she is sitting on the bench in her robe. So you should all be so lucky to have been here for that. I know that I am. As a member of the bar of the state of New Jersey, thank you so much. And I am speaking as a private citizen, not in my capacity as a chair of a 501c3 organization. Okay, now we got all that formality out of the way. You may be wondering, why is this trans person standing here at this rally about, I don't know, bodily autonomy and choice? If you're having a hard time with that, I just want you to know that I get a lot of questions about my body and what I'm gonna do with it and what I should do with it and where it should be. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Yeah, it should. And guess what they're also trying to do? They're trying to tell parents what their children should be able to learn in school and what they should learn about our bodies. At the same time, they are taking away our rights to having affirming care and access to quality contraception and choice. Now, does that seem like a thing that we should probably stand up at our school boards and say something about? Yeah, because guess what? Those other people who don't think the same way as we are showing up at school boards, and they are trying to tell other parents, hey, we don't want your trans kids, or we don't want you educating about consent. Because if you don't have consent and then you don't have choice, what do we have? We're going back way before 1973, because we're going back where the Supreme Court wants to take us, which is before women have the right to vote. Right? If you look at everything that was cited in that Dobbs decision, all of those cases start with 1 and 8. Do you know who didn't have the right to vote then? Black people and women, and guess what? We didn't have this immigration. We didn't have this wonderful, diverse country. So anybody that wants to take us back there, I mean, I think we know what to do, right? We're not gonna get put back in a closet. We're not gonna get put back in a back alley, and we are certainly not gonna let our children go back there. So thank you so much, and like, just keep coming out and love and support each other. Thank you all.
I'm Danny, one of the original founders of the Women's March. So if you marched with us back then, I'm happy to see your faces here today. Not so happy, but thank you for coming out to support again. I actually brought my original poster with me that I carried that day. Here's to strong women. May we know them, may we be them, may we raise them. So I have been lucky enough to have 2 amazing gynecologists in my life. The first gynecologist I ever went to was Planned Parenthood. I got my driver's license and I drove there within the week, and I actually put myself on birth control pills. The other amazing gynecologist in my life is Dr. Angela Jones, and if you don't know who she is a local celebrity, an amazing gynecologist, and her podcast and her blog is called Ask Dr. Angela. She's going to answer some questions that we all have about specifically the abortion pill. When this went down, I actually didn't know about the abortion pill. I didn't know that it was FDA approved since like for many, many years. So I asked Dr. Angela to talk about that, and I'm sure she's going to explain a lot of things to us today. So thanks again for being here. Dr. Angela Jones.
What's good, people? I am so happy to be here. I can't even put it into words. There's my kid. She told me to tell y'all that I am a board certified OBGYN. There it is. So I'm gonna start this off by saying, whatever she decides, I'm with her. I'm gonna say that one more time. Whatever she decides, I'm with her. I kind of feel like we as women always over-explain. You know, when I see patients, my job is just to listen and provide standard of care medicine. People always will say, well, I want to tell you why. I'm happy to listen, but truth be told, I don't really need to know the whys, whats, none of that, because nobody knows what is in your best interest other than you. Nobody knows your situation other than you. I see women from all walks of life, and people get abortions for many different reasons. It doesn't necessarily have to be the extreme choices that we always hear about. You know, the unfortunate situation where someone is raped, or the unfortunate situation where a pregnancy, you know, really threatens the mom's life. It can be a middle-aged woman who was in her, you know, late 40s, irregular periods, didn't think she could get pregnant, and oops. It can be someone that was trying to do the right thing, that was on birth control, and oops. Because y'all know, nothing is 100% except for abstinence, and if you go by the baby Jesus story, you might not even buy that one. I'm just saying. Or it might be, and I actually dealt with this not too long ago, a college athlete playing basketball, Division I school. Oops. And so you gonna tell me that her and all women's plans have to be altered because something happened? I don't think so, because you know what? It's your body, it's your choice. And whatever she decides, I'm with her. I'm gonna try not to overgo my 5 minutes, because they told me I have a little bit, but I'm gonna try not to do that. So let's talk about abortion in the US. 1 out of 4 women in the US will have an abortion in her lifetime. Okay? Let's talk about 2017. In 2017, roughly 60% of abortions in the US occurred at or before 10 weeks gestation. Medication abortion comprised 39% of those abortions. Let's fast forward to 2020. In 2020, medical abortion was responsible for 54% of all abortions in the US. So why this sudden increase? Danny said, Dr. Angela, why? You know, we didn't know that this even existed. Why this certain increase? Why this sudden increase? More awareness. If you don't know, you don't know. But if you didn't know, you are now about to know that medical abortion is a very safe and viable option for women. Let's talk about COVID. COVID had us on lockdown. And I'm certainly so happy to see people coming out of this, out, breathing, moving around again. But COVID certainly ushered in, you know, telemedicine. You could do the consultation on your phone, via computer, and you didn't have to have that in-person visit. You know, you got informed consent, you know, we reviewed risk and benefits, and then we mailed the medication to you. So what is this medication abortion? This medication pill or medical abortion that's been approved since the year 2000. Yes, I'm going to say that, since the year 2000, and nobody knew. Mifepristone is the it's the abortion medication that's been approved since 2000. And just quickly, and I'm going to keep this real simple because I don't want to get all technical. Mifepristone, how it works, it is a progesterone antagonist. What that means is that it blocks progesterone from working. And anybody that's had any history of recurrent pregnancy loss, spontaneous miscarriage, you know, when we get that first sign of pregnancy, we're like, oh my gosh, check my progesterone levels. Because that is the hormone that is responsible for sustaining an early pregnancy. So why medical abortion? Why would you want to do a medical abortion? Number one, it's safe, okay? Number two, not everybody wants a surgical procedure, because I don't care how major or minor a procedure is, and certainly we view suction DNC, suction dilation, and evacuations as very minor procedures, but no surgical procedure is without risk. And certainly, some people might think medical abortion is more natural, you know, it's certainly more private, you know, you can do this in the you know, privacy of your own home, because you know when you go to surgery centers, you gotta check in, somebody can look at your chart. Privacy has gone out the window. What I will say to you is, I don't personally provide abortion services, but I provide a means for women to gain access to these services. And so in kind of looking into these things, I learned some things myself. Number one, that less than 1% of patients need any kind of emergency intervention for excessive bleeding.
as a practitioner, that was one of the things that I worry about. Oh my gosh, these women are gonna be having, the medical abortion at home, they're gonna come in bleeding, and I'm gonna have to take them to the OR. That happens exceedingly rare. The need for intervention within the first 24 hours is really rare. I'm about to debunk a myth. Mifepristone, which is that FDA-approved medical abortion medication, is not associated with teratogenicity. Anytime you hear the word teratogen, that has to do with fetal development. The other medication, on the other hand, which is misoprostol, that's the medication that is given in conjunction with mifepristone. That can have an association with fetal developmental abnormalities, specifically limb defects, but we'll get more into that just very briefly. Something that I didn't know, medication abortion, before it's performed, all you have to do is confirm a pregnancy and gestational age. That is a lot less complicated than I thought. Here I thought, oh, I gotta bring you in, I gotta do an ultrasound, I have to do a clinical evaluation. No, not really. Let me tell you this. To confirm a pregnancy, urine pregnancy test. Any woman that has regular periods with a certain last menstrual period within the previous 56 days, and those signs or symptoms or risk factors for an ectopic, signs and symptoms of an ectopic, bleeding, unilateral pain, dizziness, lightheadedness, risk factors for an ectopic, previous history of an ectopic pregnancy, previous pregnancy with an IUD or progesterone-only form of contraception. As long as a woman does not have any risk factors, signs, or symptoms, and she has a certain last menstrual period, she can get the medication. You don't need an ultrasound. You don't even need a clinical examination. The most popular FDA-approved regimen for medical abortion is mifepristone, which is that anti-progesterone medication that I told you about. You just take that orally, 200 milligrams orally, and then 24 to 48 hours later, you take misoprostol. Some of y'all might know that as Cytotec. That's the medication that people that have ulcer disease will use. But for the misoprostol, that's 800 micrograms that you can either insert vaginally, yes, you can put medication inside the vagina, or you can use that buccally. And by that, I mean insert it in between your cheek and your gum. Who can give these medications? Really, any clinician that can adequately screen and provide appropriate follow-up and counseling can give it. Notice I said clinician. I didn't say doctor. If you've got a physician's assistant, you have a nurse practitioner, you have a midwife, all of these folks are able to do this. So where can I find the abortion pill, Dr. Angela? Well, since we live in the state of New Jersey, you could go to a clinic, Planned Parenthood. My friend and colleague, Dr. Doty, heads up a practice at Jersey Shore where she provides these services. You can do a telehealth service. I have some people that do this across state lines. You can get medication from online pharmacies. You can get medications from other countries. Routine in-person follow-up, not necessary, unless there's an issue. I, being the doctor that I am, I always like follow-up. I like follow-up just to make sure that everything is okay, and I also like follow-up to discuss other long-term or just other options in general for contraception, because I think that's really important, regardless of how we ended up at this choice. So this is what I'm going to say in closing. A great resource for this, Reproductive Health Access Project. I'm going to say that again. Reproductive Health Access Project is a great source for this. And then I'm just lastly going to say this recent Roe versus Wade ruling, it blew me away. I was on call, working, delivering babies, operating, when my phone just started blowing up. And I was devastated. But you know what? It's all right, because we got to keep pushing forward, okay? So what y'all need to do, y'all need to vote, because Roe versus Wade does not affect all of us equally. And I'm just gonna put this out there. You let Mitch McConnell's niece or granddaughter, somebody need an abortion, you know he gonna find the resources and the means to get that done. This law affects people that look like me, black, lesbian. It affects people that don't have the economic resources. So we need to come together and make this happen. And just lastly, whatever she decides, I'm with her. Thank you.
I have to give a big thank you first to our sign interpreters, Leslie and Rachel, who volunteered their time today and drove hours to get here. Please do a hello. Thank you guys so much to our speakers. Please speak slow. Please speak slow. I also have to give a shout out to Yvonne Clayton, Eileen Chapman, Nevaeh Sickles, Jess Alamo, two of our fearless leaders who are not here, which is Michelle Gladden and Christina Zook. This event today would not have happened without them. Big thank you to everybody who organized to make this event happen. Thank you so much. And last but not least, I spent probably 4 days trying to get insurance for this event. Every insurance company would not insure this event. So while I'm spiraling in my anxiety, Garden State Equality steps up and says they will insure this event for us. So I want to be crystal clear, without Garden State Equality, this event was not going on. So thank you. Christian's going to come up, say a couple of quick words. Thank you so much to Garden State Equality for you.
All right, is this a rally or is this a rally? Repeat after me, women's rights are human rights. Oh, I was just at a rally in Red Bank and there was only 100 people there. It could be a lot louder than that. Women's rights are human rights. Women's rights are human rights. Gay rights are human rights. Gay rights are human rights. Trans rights are human rights. Trans rights are human rights. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. If you have never said one of those sayings, let today be your first time, because we must stand united against hate. It is all of us against them. It is all of us together against them. Together we rise. I want to say a few things today, and one being, I've been in a gay marriage. I've been in an interracial marriage. I've been in a military marriage for about 6 years. And guess what? For all of you, that means nothing because you're not in my marriage, right? My marriage didn't make any straight marriage any less valid. Just like a woman's right to choose doesn't make anyone else's health care any less valid. They are taking away our rights. They are taking away our freedoms. Surely the Supreme Court of the United States of America, home of the free, home of the brave, isn't rolling back rights. Surely the Supreme Court wouldn't be doing that. Unless it was stacked by activist judges who lied to get on the court. Who lied and said they weren't going to undo 50 years of case law. And that's exactly who is on the court right now, and they lose their credibility. But the good news is, this isn't their country. This is our country, the country of the people. And so how do we take our country back? How do we ensure that our rights are ours to keep? How do we ensure we continue to move forward? I'm going to call on Lauren Albrecht, chair of the New Jersey LGBTQ Democrats, to answer this question. How do we take our country back, Lauren?
We vote and we get involved.
We vote! We vote! We vote! We vote!
We vote! We vote! We vote! We vote!
If we don't vote, we're going to continue to go back. And what does that mean? That means women who sacrificed more so the next generation wouldn't have to fight this fight, have to worry again. That means people like Jan Moore, who unfortunately lost her wife Emily after fighting for their right to marry. Now Jan has to go forward and fight for marriage again without her wife Emily, because she's no longer with us. This is not what our country is about. We have to right this wrong. Unfortunately, it is all of our burdens now. But when we stand together, we are stronger than them. Women's rights are human rights.
Women's rights are human rights.
Gay rights are human rights.
Gay rights are human rights.
Trans rights are human rights.
Trans rights are human rights.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
I'm going to leave you with the words of Bayard Rustin, a gay, black, queer civil rights icon who they have tried to erase from being taught in schools, but here in New Jersey, we are teaching LGBTQ inclusive curriculum. Our youth will know about Bayard. I'm going to leave you with some words that he shared. We will call upon you again and again and again until the very grounds shake with the power that you represent. Thank you, everyone. We are stronger together. We are stronger when we stand united. And now it is my honor to introduce the incomparable Jan Moore.
Can everybody hear me? Yeah! Good. This is an 85-year-old lady up here telling you, I have nothing to do with abortion. Guess what? The good old days are not good old days. We cannot go back. We have to fight every single minute, every day, for the rights of all people. There is no color. There is no gender. There isn't any of this. When I was growing up, the word abortion meant you went in some back alley, somebody twisted a hanger, and you maybe hemorrhaged to death. That's what the good old days were. Let's not allow anybody to talk us into anything but our future. Our future is protecting the kids coming up, educating them. Our state's doing a great job. Garden State Equality is doing a great job. I am so passionate about this. Till the day I die, we have got to keep going. We have to be out there shouting at everybody. This is our tomorrow. This is your day. Don't let anybody tell you it doesn't work. It does. I've been an activist for over 60 years. I got married. I was with my wife 51 and a half years. Let me tell you something. Nobody can take that from me. Our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren all live knowing who we were and what we were. If you stand and you're honest, you're accepted. And you are bigger than the Supreme Court. Make no mistake. We're out there now. We are visible. We are verbal. We are involved. That's the way we have to stay. Keep having these rallies. We're never going to stop. And I thank you all for being here.
Hi. Let's give it up for Jan Moore. Oh my God. I also just want us to take a minute to, give it up for yourselves. Applaud yourselves for being here, honestly. This is incredible. I know a lot of the time when, at least speaking for myself, when these things happen, and basically people are saying that we don't matter as women and we're not capable of making our own decisions, it can be very lonely. And especially to go on social media and, God forbid, read the comments on the Asbury Park Press articles or something. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's just, you know, you feel lonely. And maybe one day rally won't change the world, but I feel better knowing that there are people out there who care. When I was organizing this, one of my main issues was struggling with if rallies do much past the day. I just realized that they do. They inspire people to get involved. But mostly, it's on us to keep going when we leave the rally. It's incredibly important. Our opposition, they're out there spending money on different campaigns. They're getting people to run for school board, to shut down LGBT education. This is organized, and it's been going on for years. They have a plan, and they do it. We sometimes are more reactionary. So I'm just here to say we have to stop being reactionary and be involved all the time. Vote, register to vote, do it all the time. And I thank you for being here, but this has to be just the beginning. I want to say League of Women Voters is here registering voters. If you are not registered to vote, if you recently moved, if you know someone who isn't registered to vote, go over there. This is not a political issue. Definitely, it's not a Democratic issue. And on that note, I'm going to introduce the only council member in Asbury Park who is actually an independent. So let's give it up for Eileen Chapman.
Thanks, Jess. Awesome job. I want to give a shout out to Food Not Bombs, who was with us today, handing out bottled water. So is Garden State Equality, so please don't get thirsty, go drink their water. Here in Asbury Park, Angie Silverman is a community leader and is a dedicated advocate for the arts, knowing firsthand how music and art and action can transform lives. She's a singer, a songwriter, a guitarist, an art curator. I've heard Angie speak about how her punk music represents freedom and hope. Freedom and hope are the reasons that we're here today. So I'd like to introduce Angie to the stage.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you for having me. We are here today because only a few weeks ago, a lengthy assault on human rights in this country brought us to one of the darkest days in American history. There is a constant attack on women, people of color, the LGBT community, and any minority group that dare challenge the power structures that oppress this nation and its people. And yet, with each defeat, though our anger is renewed, our bondage becomes even tighter. Now the overturning of Roe versus Wade has brought us to what physically and psychologically feels like a breaking point. The defeat we feel can be paralyzing. We endure the legacy of a president that worked to eviscerate human rights, divided the nation, and encouraged deadly violence. We endure devastation from a global pandemic, climate change, a gun violence epidemic, and a failing economy. And while these very real and definable crises of our day destroy our nation, it is the morality of women, the lives of the LGBT community, people of color, and secular society that the GOP seeks to regulate. Every day, American people suffer human rights violations and many die as a result. And through it all, the conservative religious right that has infiltrated our highest offices of government use their power to blame us for all they fail to protect us from. And they work to hasten our complete oppression. Every day we wake up wondering if the people we love are safe, if they can exist with any degree of self-determination, and sometimes if they will simply survive. I share your frustration. I share your exhaustion. And I want to remind you that despite all that they have done to us, they have never been able to completely break us. We are still here. These people want us to believe that the United States exists despite people like us. The truth is, and has always been, that true human freedom exists in the United States because of people like us. Look around you. Look at each other. I am the granddaughter of a sharecropper. We are the result of pain and triumph, the courage and perseverance of all who have come before us. You and the freedom with which you live your life, however measured, you are someone's dream that they gave their life for but knew they would never live to see. Those who oppress us have tried to erase us through genocide and Holocaust, through passage on slave ships, through poverty, through being closeted for generations or executed for coming out, and yet we exist. And now, after desegregation, after fighting for the right to vote, to education, to abortion, to our very lives, from Seneca Falls to Stonewall, we have come all this way. And after all the work done by Sojourner Truth and Our Dear Ruth and Shirley Chisholm and MLK, Malcolm X, RFK, Angela Davis, Gloria Steinem, Bell Hooks, Marsha P. Johnson, Harvey Milk, after all the fighting for every inch, after all the blood that's been shed by everyone who fought for and before us, you and I have arrived to this moment across an ocean of time, across an ocean of history. We are descended from the strongest warriors, the most steadfast hearts, the sharpest minds. We came all this way to this moment in time to finally undo the remaining bonds of our collective oppression. And these people think they're going to turn us back now? Never! You are a new kind of human, defined by your humanity and not assigned the power structure. And we are here to create a sustained radical movement. Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl wrote that humans ask what the meaning of life is, while in reality it is life that asks, what is the meaning of you? While we ask what this movement will do for us and define our goals, equally important is asking the question, what can I do for this movement? Now the truth is, issues like abortion access in this country have been problematic for decades. Abortion care was already inaccessible to people in the Deep South as their states reduced the numbers of providers to single digits. But because the need for human rights work has existed so long in the United States, many non-government organizations have been working on rights all over the country for just as long. And they could use your help right now. Reach out to your local chapter of Planned Parenthood Action and volunteer. Become a member of the ACLU, who have been disassembling court cases against abortion for decades through a constantly changing legal landscape. Become a member of the Shore Area chapter of the National Organization for Women. One of my fellow speakers, Celeste Fior, is the founder of the Trans Affirming Alliance. There are volunteer opportunities. Contact the National Network of Abortion Funds, which has already been working to help people who could not otherwise access abortion care, and offer whatever help you can. This will be a long fight. It is not glamorous or easy work. But if we work together to restore our rights for ourselves, we will win this. Before I go, I also want to remind you that there are ordinary but powerful things we can all do to make this revolution a part of our everyday lives. Arm yourself with things they cannot take away from you: education, compassion, empathy, confidence, skill. If you've always wanted to take a class on the civil rights era to learn how great power was overcome in this society many times before, sign up for a class at your local college. If your friend wants to learn martial arts, take care of her children a few nights a week so she can go to class. If you know a woman at your workplace is being paid less than you, speak up. Head to DC with the family and visit the Holocaust Museum or the African American Museum of History and Culture. Ask your school if you can organize a trip. Listen to hip hop, seek out trans musicians and learn about a message and a culture that was asking to be understood a long time ago. Talk to your friends who survived the AIDS epidemic in the 80s and 90s and find out how they took care of each other when no one else would. How they redefined joy as a radical act, finding a way to make the human will unbreakable. These stories, these actions, these legacies have been left for us because those who came before us knew this crisis would return, knew that we would need to not feel so alone, knew that we could dismantle our oppression if we finally came together and understood that our fates, as well as the fate of this nation, are inextricably linked. I came here today to remind you to stand in your power, to cherish and celebrate the things that define you for as long and as loud as you can. Know who you are and know that no authority can ever take away your right to create yourself and your life as you see fit, as is the promise of American freedom. Understand this crisis we face here today as it attempts to erase us, and know that it is your destiny to defeat it. Thank you.
I'm going to call our little helpers up here if we can. Jensen, JJ, Darielle, Shakia, and Frankie, can you just come up here? This is our next generation who's handing you action items. Hopefully they're only handing one to you. And we're missing some folks. Darielle, I see you. All right, so let's give these kids a round of applause. Thank you for helping with this event today. Appreciate it. Oh, we got one more. Frankie, we're waiting for you. Where are you at, Frankie? Where are you at? Can you come up here and give a big wave? This is Asbury Park here, folks. This is the next generation in Asbury Park.
No, he has no.
Hello everyone, and thank you so much for coming out. My name is Nevaeh Sickles, and I was trying to plan an event last week, so whoever is here from that, hello. I just wanted to say a few things. I'm not going to try to speak too long, but as women, it has been a constant struggle for equality, whether it be equal pay, equal opportunities, the ability to attend school or join the workforce. In today's society, one of the rights we fought to acquire was the right for us to be able to choose what to do, whatever we want with our own bodies. Whether or not abortion should be legal and clinics be available has been a controversial topic. However, it is now up to each individual state to decide whether or not they support it or not. Abortion should be an option and available for every woman who is deciding whether or not they want to go through that process. I, as a 17-year-old in 2022, should not be still fighting the fight that women before me have fought already. States and counting have some type of restrictions on abortion. For example, Texas banned almost all abortions beyond the time at which fetal cardiac activity can be detected, or about 6 weeks into pregnancy, which by then most women aren't even aware that they are pregnant. In addition, the right to privacy not being protected under the Constitution now opens the door for the reevaluation of other women's rights, such as the use of birth control, other contraceptives, and IVF. Aside from women's rights, such as legal same-sex marriage, interracial marriage, and other LGBTQ+ rights are at stake as well. As a young woman in America, I am scared for this country's future. The Supreme Court seemingly does not care about the lives of women nor children they are forcing into this world. Women are being pushed into a corner with no safe options. Our government won't support nor aid these women before or after birth. Are they going to help women with parenting programs before and after? Are they going to waive the hauntingly expensive hospital bills? Are they going to give her childcare, healthcare, and insurance? No? Are they going to give children better sex education to help them become more aware and protected instead of just teaching them the idea of abstinence? What about the women who end up harming themselves trying to perform their own abortions? What about the thousands of children missing in foster care? What about the immense amount of children being sex trafficked, the amount of children starving because they were born into poverty and their family cannot afford to feed them? I think there are bigger things that are happening with the lives in America currently. Women in America deserve safe options. I am eternally grateful to live in a state that has laws protecting my rights to my bodily autonomy, as well as allowing me to have the opportunity to feel safe enough to help create this community with us today to protest. However, there are millions of American women now unprotected. Just because I am protected, we here are protected, does not mean I will not fight for those women who aren't. As women, and everyone for that matter, would you allow anyone else to tell you what to do with your body? Though I am young, I will use my voice until every woman has a choice. Thank you. Now let's welcome to the stage the League of Women's Voters to help educate us and to start some action.
Hello, Asbury Park. Hello, all women. Hello, all people of all genders. And all people of all ages. And thank you, Asbury Park Women's Convention. My name is Evelyn C. Murphy. My pronouns are she, her. Visually, I describe myself as a white woman of European descent. I'm 71 years old. My hair is light brown, maybe gray, in a short bob. I'm about 5.5 feet tall, wearing a white t-shirt with blue, red, and white LWV logo and yellow pants. I am here representing the League of Women Voters of Monmouth County, where I serve as one of 3 co-presidents. With me is Annette Scott. Annette, could you say hello and you want to describe yourself?
Yes, I do. Hello, everyone. And the way you describe me is, I am tan, tall, and terrific. I'm also a registered nurse who, many years ago, when I became a nurse, went through with many, many young men at first through the AIDS epidemic. And now and then through many, many young children working in the psychiatric units with young girls and young boys who were sexually assaulted and the things that happened to them, but especially the young girls who later bodies changed. Yes, I could write a book, and I thank God for the work I'm doing now, and I'll tell you about that shortly. Thank you.
So, the League of Women Voters and Asbury Park Women's Convention and Reproductive Rights are in a sort of convergence for Annette and I. We actually both joined the League on February 24th, 2018, at the very first Asbury Park Women's Convention. So thank you, Women's Convention. At that convention, the League membership chair, Wilma Pfeffer, recognized us because she had seen us at Planned Parenthood action meetings throughout 2017, sometimes at the same time, sometimes at different times. None of us really knew each other except in passing. But since that day, Annette and I have become League of Women Voters twins. Yeah. Today, to articulate the League's commitment to reproductive rights and the right to abortion. The League of Women Voters, everyone knows that we support voting rights and we help register voters. We are committed. Our mission is empowering voters and defending democracy. Empower voters, defend democracy. All right. And we work on voting rights a lot. And we are a strictly nonpartisan organization. But that doesn't mean that we're not a political organization. The League of Women Voters nationally and at the state level and at the local level advocates for important issues that we have studied and determined the correct position on. And these positions last a long time. In the League of Women Voters of the United States has had a policy position that's a commitment to reproductive rights and the right of abortion since 1983. And the National League adopted its position at the urging of the League of Women Voters of New Jersey, which adopted a formal position after extensive study in 1982. So this is post-Roe, but way earlier than now. And I just want to give you sort of the flavor of what's been our position since 1982 here in New Jersey. And it just starts out, the League of Women Voters of New Jersey believes that public policy on abortion in a pluralistic society must respect the right of the individual to make the choice of whether or not to terminate a pregnancy. The government, which has recognized interests in regulating the abortion procedure, should not be involved in the process of that choice. Public policy should treat abortion basically as a medical procedure to be decided upon by a woman or pregnant person and their physician or other appropriately licensed healthcare provider. Although the government has a legitimate interest in protecting potential human life in late pregnancy, it must not be permitted to override the woman's interest in her own life and health. And this goes on, and it describes all of the reasons that the League of Women Voters of New Jersey and then the League of Women Voters of the United States enumerated back in 1982 and 1983, less than 10 years after the Roe decision. The League has positions on a whole variety of topics, not only voting and not only reproductive health, but we have positions on, as we said, voting rights. Right now we're working on getting rid of the Electoral College. That's a biggie. We just adopted a national position at convention 2 weeks ago in support of universal health care access and severing the relationship between health care and employment. And this is now a national policy of the League of Women Voters, which means League of Women Voters everywhere will be fighting for it. Now, the League has about 70,000 members nationwide. Yeah, and our goal is to have many more. We really feel that the League should have, for instance, as many members as the NRA. Here in Monmouth County, we have a total, well, this morning we had a total of about 220 members. And we brought some membership forms with us because we feel that this might be a place for people to sign up and join in these fights. And so I think our membership might now be about 235. And we're running out of forms, but one of our members bicycled home to make more copies. So we'll have them here. And to be a member of the League of Women Voters, anyone can be a member of the League of Women Voters if they are at least 16 years old and they support the policies and positions of the League. And people who are under 16 years old can be associate members. Yeah. So we want as many members as possible. Now Annette has been working over the past few years when we can stand to be apart. She's been working on another issue I'd like to give her a minute to talk about because it matters a lot.
Thank you, Evelyn. Yes. I am the director of the Re-Enter Register Voter Committee. Now you may or may not know this, but in New Jersey, since 1844, before the Civil War, anyone incarcerated cannot vote. 2 states never took away the right, and that's Maine and Vermont. In New Jersey, it was not only those incarcerated, but on parole or probation. And as you know, March 17th, 2020, which is no longer St. Patrick's Day, is Citizens Registration Day. Anyone on parole or probation can now vote. And what that meant was, in New Jersey, 83,000 people could now register and vote. And the good thing is, they can also be poll workers, and I encourage that. Now, I was introduced to the reentry program by a couple, Saul and Diane Hara of the League, and they were providing voter registration to the reentry program in Neptune City. The reentry program, as you know, was formulated by former Governor Jim McGreevey. So they asked me to come in, and Saul said to me, meet me in the parking lot and we'll go in together. I'll instruct the first class and then you see how you like it and you do it. I said, okay, that's good. So as we came in the building and as we're entering the classroom, Saul said, you know, Annette, I think it's better that you teach the class. Wow. But I did, and I've been doing it. And then what I did was I asked the other 8 counties of the reentry programs, do they have voter registration? And what happens is I'm often confronted with, oh, I committed a felony, I can never vote again in New Jersey. Not true. Some states, yes. Some states it's according to the felony, but not in New Jersey. You can register to vote the day you leave a correctional facility. So I go there, and then I was asked by a gentleman, I was at a meeting and he said, well, why don't you work with us? Because I don't know who you are. So he said, well, we're GEO parole reentry. Okay. So then I started doing for the parole persons in Neptune City at the thing. Then I got a call from the assistant director of the New Jersey State Parole Board. And he said, Ms. Scott, I'd like you to come to the parole facilities and register people who can't leave, and they can register to vote. Oh, okay. So I didn't really know about it. So he sent me through email, 6 pages of places to visit. I was, whoa. But I did it. And then when I finished, I sent him the report, and he called me, he said, how come you didn't visit Bo Robinson? I said, well, I don't know where it is or what it is. He said, well, let me email it to you. He did, with 7 more places. So every year, twice a year, I visit all the parole facilities with a team of league, let me start again, of league members.
You said every year.
I mean every month. No, not every month, no. Twice a year. I do it before the primary and before the general election. Because in New Jersey, which we're trying to get rid of, you have certain dates that your voter registration expires. And if you're not, you can't register to vote, okay? So I do it twice a year. And I also do for Ocean County College. They just called me today and said, get out here. So I will. But thank you, and anyone who wants to be assistant with me, you can. And we do have forms today. And one last very quick thing. 2 weeks ago, I was in Camden County Jail. I didn't have to stay. I didn't have to be bailed out. In New Jersey, if you're a detainee, you could vote, and I registered over 20, almost 25.
Thank you so much. And we do have voter registration forms at our booth, which is right over there, if you need them today.
Let's give it up to the League of Women Voters. Thank you. Thank you for coming out. I also have to again thank our sign interpreters who are doing an amazing job nonstop. Thank you guys so much, Leslie and Rachel. Really appreciate you volunteering your time. One of the things that is not talked about with this decision is how this decision is going to affect families with family violence. And we have a local Miss Marion to come talk to us about. Miss Marion is the program director of the Family Violence Center, Hispanic Women Resource Center at Community Affairs and Resource Center. I have to give a shout out to Beatrice because everybody, if anyone here is from Asbury, we all love Beatrice. So come on out, Marion.
So thank you everyone for being here today. As an icebreaker, I have to say that I am a proud Latinx, born and raised in Puerto Rico, so English is not my first language. Bear with me. Also, I hate public speaking, so, but here I am. So it is my duty to be here today, not only as a director for a domestic violence and sexual assault program, but as a woman, as a mother, as a sister, as a friend, and as a human being. I owe this to the future generations, to my children who are here with me today, to the women who have been silenced by harm doers and aggressors, who control their life, their physical and mental health. I'm also here for the women who are not only silenced, but do not have a voice, because they represent the people at the margins who are underserved and oppressed due to their legal status, financial disadvantage, language barrier, gender identity, among others. Since I moved to New Jersey, which was like 4 years ago, I became passionate about working with the Latinx community, especially assisting women to empower themselves, motivating them and providing accessible services so that they can study a career, become self-sufficient. It is vital that they can become self-sufficient and have the power of knowledge in their hands. In this journey, I have met hundreds of women who have experienced different forms of oppression, but the ones that hit us harder are the ones who come from the people we love and trust. As a domestic violence and sexual assault advocate, I want to reiterate the importance for every woman to have the right of an accessible and safe abortion. Every woman should have full autonomy and freedom of their own body. It is a fact that restrictions on abortion fall hardest on Black and Indigenous people, immigrants, other people of color, low-income people, and the LGBTQ community. The impact for our domestic violence, sexual assault survivors, and marginalized communities can and will be devastating if we lose the right to have a safe, accessible, and legal abortion. The system is failing our survivors who experience lack of access to health care and contraception. I want to share one of the many stories I have experienced through my work that demonstrate why having accessible and safe abortion is so important. This is the story of a Latinx woman that for confidentiality purposes we're gonna name Maria. Maria was an undocumented mother of 4, 3 boys and a girl, who was married for over 14 years with the father of her children. Her husband was seen as a good provider, loving father, and a great Christian because they went every Sunday to church. Little do they know that in the privacy of their home, he was an aggressive narcissist who not only beat this woman almost to death, but sexually assaulted her and his own daughter. Luz Maria knew very little English, couldn't work, she was not allowed to, didn't have any support system, and was trapped into this marriage that felt like prison. Like she expressed, a living hell. He constantly threatened her of getting her deported and taking her kids away from her. She knew she had to stay, she couldn't leave her kids alone with him, and she needed to protect her children. She was trapped in fear, shame, confusion, thinking she didn't have any other option but to stay. One day, she tried suggesting him to go to a clinic for birth control. She knew she didn't want any more kids, and she told him they couldn't afford it anymore. That day, she almost lost her life. He stated he wanted as many children as he could have. This was another form of violence. He wanted to keep controlling her, maintaining her in the cycle of abuse, of power. At this point, she was experiencing physical, emotional, sexual violence, including other forms of violence unique to immigrants and undocumented survivors. Once again, she got pregnant after being raped many times by her own husband. She expressed, "I knew I couldn't bring any other child into this misery. I needed to have an abortion. He was trapping me over and over, and I didn't know what to do." In her desperation, she went to a church friend for help. Despite the imaginary belief that Christians and religious people are against abortion, there is a very large population of Christians that do respect and understand the importance of women to have a voice and full autonomy of their own body. That day, she saved her life and that unborn child from living a life of misery, violence, and disgrace by getting a safe abortion. That day, her choice, her right, her love prevailed. It was hard for her to even imagine where her life would be if she hadn't had been able to access the abortion. She also was able to get birth control, and secretly her friend helped her to get contraceptive on a monthly basis. Yes. 2 years later, after an incident that almost got her killed by strangulation, she took her children while he was working and ran away. She was able to receive the protection and safety she needed, and her husband, after a few years in a US prison, was deported to his country of origin. After all the violence and misery, we now can say that this is a success story. But unfortunately, there are many other women that will not have the opportunity to regain control of their life and make choices over their body. This is only one example of why every woman needs safe and legal abortion. But I want to talk a little bit about facts. And that is that domestic violence survivors are among the least likely to be able to travel out of state or safely self-manage a medication abortion at home, leaving them no choice but to carry a pregnancy to term. Abusive partners often control a victim's reproductive choices by restricting the use of contraception or even engaging in sexual assault. Once they're pregnant, a victim is at much higher risk of violence. Women who are pregnant or recently gave birth are twice as likely to die by homicide than any other cause of maternal mortality, most often at the hands of an intimate partner. If you start taking away women's autonomy to choose what to do, you're just trapping them over and over. If the harm door is already telling there's nowhere to go, it is easy to believe, and it's just becoming more true without rights in place. Let's remember that ensuring that all people have access to the full range of reproductive health care, including abortion care, is an essential part of addressing racial injustice and other inequities in our healthcare system. We need to speak up and work toward building a more just and equitable society. As a request of my oldest daughter, who's here with me today, I love you, Sophie. I will close my speech by quoting Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The decision whether or not to bear a child is central to a woman's life, to her well-being and dignity. It is a decision she must make for herself. When the government controls that decision for her, she is being treated as less than a full adult human responsible for her own choices. Thank you very much.
First, a public announcement. If you've lost a SpongeBox telephone, I have it. Please come forward and get it. And then next, we want to thank Muata Greene, John Caplow. They have been here all afternoon filming and doing this, and they're volunteers, so I just want to say thank you. The next speaker is Caitlyn Williams. Caitlyn is the Vice President of Planned Parenthood Action Fund in New Jersey. She's a Jersey girl, has a master's from Rutgers in Women's and Gender Studies. She's a lover of books and dogs and feminism. She believes in sex education and a big believer that abortion is health care. So she has worked tirelessly for the New Jersey Reproductive Freedom Act and is doing her best to get it enacted. So please, Caitlyn Williams.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry, is this a rally? I think we need some chanting. When repro rights are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When repro rights are under attack, what do we do? When repro rights are under attack, what do we do? Thank you. As Yvonne said, my name is Caitlyn Williams, and I serve as the Vice President of Public Affairs at Planned Parenthood Action Fund of New Jersey. Thank you all so much for being here today. I want to make one thing very, very clear, and that is that abortion is still legal in New Jersey. It is your right that is protected in New Jersey state law. If you need abortion care or you know someone who does, no matter what state they live in, you can visit abortionfinder.org and find a provider near you. The Supreme Court has ended our federal constitutional right to abortion and overturned Roe v. Wade, turning its back on nearly 50 years of precedent. This decision goes against the will of the people. 80%, let me say that again, 80% of Americans believe that abortion should be legal. I have a feeling that in this crowd it's 100%. This decision will not stop us. We will rebuild and reclaim the freedom that is ours. This court has failed us, especially Black, Latino, Indigenous, and other people of color who are disproportionately harmed by abortion bans due to this country's legacy of racism and discrimination. This outrageous decision will fuel efforts by state politicians
to ban abortion in states across the United States, forcing people to travel hundreds, sometimes thousands of miles for care, or remain pregnant against their will. But there are those in this country who have already experienced this reality. For decades, states across the country have chipped away at access. Before any decision or any leaked opinion, individuals in states like Texas, Oklahoma, Mississippi, and more have dealt with extreme restrictions on their care. And this is what we will continue to see more of. There will be outright bans that convey that a person's ability to determine their future depends on their race, their income, their ability to travel, their ability to take time off work, their ability to pay for a hotel to accommodate mandatory waiting periods, and their ability to get childcare. Because we know that 60% of women who receive abortion care already have children at home, and they are making this decision so that they can take care of the children that they already have and the family that already exists. As we join together and mobilize in this fight, it is imperative that we uplift the voices of those most impacted by this gut-wrenching decision, which will further exploit the systemic inequities within our society. And that means this is a fight for more than rights. It is about access for those for whom it has never existed. In New Jersey, our right to abortion is guaranteed by the Freedom of Reproductive Choice Act, signed into law by Governor Murphy in January of this year. And yes, we applaud and celebrate this. And we know that rights without access are meaningless. There is so much more to do in New Jersey, yes, even here in New Jersey, to ensure that everyone, regardless of income, insurance coverage, immigration status, can access the care that they need to make their own personal healthcare decisions, their own personal decisions about their bodies, and their own decisions about their lives. And you can help make a difference right now. Take out your phones. Go to ppactionnj.org. Click on the dark blue button that you see that says Expand Access. You will be prompted to send an email to Governor Murphy and the state legislative leadership and let them know that you're looking for them to lead in this historic moment. Rights are not enough. Let them know that you want them to take action for abortion justice and abortion access. I want to thank you for participating in today's rally. Thank you for your commitment not just to abortion rights, but abortion access, and not just to health care, but health care equity. So keep marching, keep speaking up, keep speaking out, and it's time to take action. We won't back down, I know neither will you. Thank you so much.
We want to make sure that these rallies take you to the next place of whatever the battle is. So I created these posters with the help of the team. And actually, I need my helpers to come back out. I have a few more flyers. Jensen, JJ, if you're around and want to come help, hand out the rest of them. We also have 2 of these posters hanging on either side, so if you want to take a picture of them. The action items are as follows, and I'm going to go quickly because you could always read them later. One of the most important things is to stop the stigma of abortion. Stop the stigma by telling your story. We heard today, 1 in 4 women have an abortion, yet due to the perception of stigma surrounding it, very few people share their stories. We have to change that. You could check out the Abortion Truth Project on Facebook. If you're into social media, the hashtag #ShoutYourAbortion is somewhere that people are sharing their incredible stories. So let's do that. Let's stop the stigma. Number 2, donate to the NNAF. That's the National Network of Abortion Funds. That's where we're going to be donating any money today that we have. And this incredible network supports anyone needing abortion care. They provide information about transportation, lodging, childcare, translation, abortion doulas, and more. You could become a member to support this organization at abortionfunds.org. Very, very important. Get to know the other key organizations. This is 3. Supporting abortion care and participate by donating or volunteering. We're so lucky to have Caitlyn from Planned Parenthood here today, and everyone knows Planned Parenthood, but there's also NARAL Pro-Choice America, the National Abortion Federation, the Center for Reproductive Rights, and one of the most amazing organizations, the ACLU. They're all doing such important work, and many have local chapters that you can get involved and volunteer at the level of your choice. Next, number 4, vote. Vote, 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 vote. Educate yourself beforehand, then vote on primary day, vote on election day, vote in your town elections, vote for the school board. Support and join the League of Women Voters. I am a member. It is a wonderful organization. They have been preserving our democracy since 1920. They're right over there. If you can't sign up today, you can easily go online and sign up, become a member. Amazing work. Lastly, run for office or support a woman who is running for office. We have the most incredible examples of women in office here. Eileen Chapman, Yvonne Clayton, and our Deputy Mayor, Amy Quinn. When more women hold seats in government, we're better and more effectively represented. Check out She Should Run online for further inspiration and details. You could also go to that website and fill out a form to nominate someone, nominate a woman who you think should run. It's an incredible, incredible thing. Also make sure that your existing representatives, no matter their stated position on this issue, hear from you strongly and often about how important control over your body is to you. And like Dr. Angela said, I'm with her. All right, so we have some copies of these amazing kiddos the future generations are gonna hand out. All right.
Okay, we'd like to welcome to the stage Kirsten Blue.
Awesome to see you guys all here rallying today, and I'm going to sing some original music for you guys. This song's called Lights Out, and I just recorded this and I will be releasing it soon. Days are gone still.
First and foremost, thank you everybody for coming out to this rally. This is obviously a very important cause, and I think we're all very much feeling it. So when I was asked to perform at this rally, I initially said no. I think my exact words were, nobody needs me singing right now, with like a little laughing emoji. That's the message that I sent to Jess. And then I got asked a second time, and I still said no. And then I said, well, let me think about this first. And when I say let me think about this first, I mean like, let me talk to my therapist about this first. And so I did. And I apologize that this is gonna get very, very real. I told her about how frustrated I was, that I felt that this is performative, that more needs to be done besides me singing Kumbaya, that we women, non-binary, trans men and women and allies have been yelling and fighting and voting, and yet we still ended up here. And what is even the point? What is even the point? My therapist paused and said to me, that anger that you're feeling sounds a whole lot like hopelessness. She's a really good therapist, y'all. And then she said, everything you're feeling is completely valid, but hopelessness is how we allow the patriarchy to win, and we simply cannot allow that. I highly recommend getting a therapist who's all about the takedown of the patriarchy. I'm so nervous right now. She said, thank you. She said, you are very passionate about this, Pam, and you have a lot to say. They're going to give you a mic, so be a voice. Be a voice for the frustrated and for the hopeless. And I know a lot of you are expecting me to do something else, to sing, but I blame my therapist. I'm not doing that right now because I think there's something a lot more powerful that can be done right now. I do believe in the power of music, and that can be healing. Music is a form of joy, and as my wise friend Angie said to me the other day, who did an amazing speech earlier, joy is a form of activism. But I can't help and feel that there's already so much noise. We are all here for a reason, for the same reason, and for the same fight, yet there is so much frustration within our community and the need and desire to do more, to seek leaders who can help us in this fight. There is a need to hold the people in power accountable, whether on a federal or local level, and I can imagine how overwhelming this all is to organize. But please understand that you have a community that is willing to help, and many who are seeking guidance and transparency. Hear us out, work with us to ensure safety and progress in our own community. Together, we are stronger. A few community members, we created a little QR code that has resources. There it is, right there. So by all means, I'm sorry, I'm a millennial, so we do use that. But it works, you know, just scan it on your phone. And we're happy to add more, you know, just let us know. I hope moving forward, the leaders of this community will open the door for conversations on how we can continue to make a productive impact that goes far beyond Asbury Park. Understanding that we are not only seeking resources, but also are the resources. What is happening in this country is scary, but there is so many of us ready to fight for the cause. Most importantly, and I think this is why we are all here, we need to hold space. The word safe space has been thrown around a lot lately, and that's because it is so needed. So, after this revelation with my badass therapist, I sat there in silence for a bit and listened to this newly identified feeling that is hopelessness. And y'all, she is tired. She is burnt out. She has been yelling and fighting for years on end, and there hasn't been a moment of stillness to sit with it. And although the great Jennifer Lopez did once say, "Let's get loud," I'd like to try a different approach. Silence is activism too sometimes. Silence is where we create that safe space to hear others, to hear our thoughts, to reset, to reflect. In silence, we hear our heart. While they yell and scream, we have this. Silence is activism too sometimes. Silence is healing. And though I may not be singing today, I ask you all to take this moment with me, to not allow the chaos surrounding us to break us, to listen to that inner voice of hopelessness or fear or anger and sit with them for a little bit, to reassure them. So together, let's take a deep breath. Put your hand on your heart. Thank you. Mine's beating like 1,000,000 miles per minute right now. This is what leads us. This is what fuels us. This is activism too. Now let's take this moment together, even for just a little bit, and take that very much needed moment of silence. So please join me. Heart is what will lead us. Heart is what will fuel us. Just remember that. Thank you so much. And let's win back our rights.
And as we talk about the power of music, we're going to close out today's event with more music from Kirsten Blue. Thank you all so much for coming. Please take those action items and make them part of your lives.
This song's called "Sick Tired Faces." I wrote this on the train to New York City.